All right. Hey YouTube, how you doing? It's Max. So this introduction, I don't know if this is gonna have anything to really do with the video, but I feel like since this channel is mostly designed as this like internet diary series, I'm just gonna kind of talk about whatever in I guess my thought process, because I have some like thoughts going on, but I feel like it's just gonna be kind of messy. So this will probably just be called like, the September 14th update, because I've done some of those in the past. But I'm not really expecting this to make a lot of sense, but maybe there will be some snippets or nuggets of gold somewhere found throughout this. Um, so I guess like where I am currently today, I'm at home. It's Wednesday the 14th. Julia is getting back home today. She was out of town for the past 3 days, I think, since Sunday, and just kind of for business and whatnot. And I have been, I guess, home alone, just kind of working on my game, going to work as normal, working from home as normal, making food, taking care of the dogs, that kind of stuff. And I guess just kind of like exploring my thought process over the couple of days. Just I was uh on Sunday, the day Julia left, I spent pretty much the entire day just working on the game. And you'll see the two videos I posted about like whatever I was posting on Sunday, but pretty much just grinding out, working on the game. And I think I spent probably 12 hours on Sunday just kind of working on the game. And I feel like I have a lot on this to-do list for the game. I've said the game like 20 times. But like the game dev logs, I think I was working on like revamping all of the towns, the settlements, and this included like restructuring all the transitions, possibly creating new transitions and like changing the routes, how they come into the city, as well as creating these NPCs and these kind of sheets for what kind of items would be offered at each city. Lots of just different like mumbo jumbo. And so between each game dev video log these days, it takes a lot of time, I guess, to create enough content that would be suitable for a video. And so I feel like I need to put in like more and more hours. And I think in the past I was talking about how these videos will probably start to balance off, where I might start skipping some upload days. Not that it really matters, but just like I'll probably start skipping upload days. And sometimes you get into these like runner high moments where like you're just producing content and you're just kind of like whipping it out, and it's a lot of work, but it doesn't like feel like work. And then sometimes, and like when you're kind of in that process, you feel like kind of like numb to pain, but then like sometimes you're like it's just like a struggle to even like open up the software and start programming that kind of stuff. And so the first day was like this runner's high, and then I guess Monday, Tuesday, and even today, it's been a little bit more of like a lull in like the creative process, I guess. And I feel like I was gonna say something else, but it's not really coming to me. But I guess I would describe this internal conflict of like trying to constantly create, constantly produce as this never-ending quest, trying to like self-improve, trying to learn, put present myself with like more obstacles and try and overcome them, that kind of thing. And I think like when I'm like focusing on the game too much, uh, especially like Monday, I start to kind of you know get burnt out, and I start thinking about, how can I try to work on maintaining a better lifestyle, not just like working on the game, but like making sure that I'm eating healthy foods, and going to the gym every now and then, and taking some time to just do something I'm interested in, not just something that I think is going to be self-productive, but something that I can just kind of like do something mindless and kind of recharge that fun meter, like in Sims or something, where If you're working too much or playing too many video games or something like that, your meter kind of goes down. You have to like do something else. You got to diversify what you do, I guess what you could say. And so I think like trying to produce the content, make the game, focus on self, um, are all things that I'm kind of like have been on the mind. And I would describe, I guess, like I feel like if I were to take like sometimes when I think about doing self care kind of stuff, I feel like I'll get too complacent with like, doing things that I enjoy, like watching movies or playing video games, where I won't want to come back to the game. And this has kind of happened in the past where like sometimes I'll be working on a big creative project that takes months to complete or like years or something like that. And I'll like work on it for a couple months and then I'll take a break. And then before you know it, life is just throwing more curveballs in other ways, and like that project just kind of gets put off. And I think that like, that's kind of one of my fears, is that I'll, start this process and then I'll inevitably stop. And that's why I kind of like the idea of, making these videos about it at the same time, so I can kind of keep myself like accountable, be like, this is all I've done. It doesn't feel like everything I've worked on has just been for nothing, that kind of thing. And so yeah, like I don't actually think that like all the like if I were to stop working on the game, I don't think that all the effort would be in vain, because there's a lot of lessons to be learned during the creation of the game. Um, just kind of like you know problem solving and like just different logical like things like that that come with like if you were to learn like how to improve in a certain video game, or if you were to watch a movie, I don't think that that's like a waste of time, even if you're not really doing anything productive, so to say. You're still kind of like getting new information. It's making you think about different things in ways that you may not have thought about them before. So I think that like it's not really like if I were to cut cold turkey this game, it wouldn't be all for naught. I like to think of it as like kind of like, the journey is important. It's not just the destination. It's not just the final product of the game. Um, and so, yeah, ultimately, I don't think that it would be like a waste of time or anything like that. But I guess there's just this fear of like, um, you know, when you're, I think my personality in a way is I have this like desire, this like life goal to like create this like magnum opus kind of thing. Something that you like leave your mark on the world, and it kind of like defines your limited time here on the earth kind of thing. Something that like your ancestors could look back on and be like, yeah, that's what Max did. That's what, I was related to him, or I knew that guy, or this is someone who, it doesn't have to be like something like super like nothing like that will make history books, but just something I guess that's like um, that could connect with someone else that would survive longer than myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but and so I guess for a while it's like, this is magnum opus going to be like this video game that I'm making? Is this going to be like this YouTube channel I'm making? Is it going to be this book I'm writing, or this story I'm doing? These experiences with people. But I think that as I'm getting older, I'll be 28 eventually, pretty soon, I guess. And Julie and I, we got married last December, and the idea of also having kids is becoming more of a realistic kind of goal. Having a we're starting a family together, and I think that this will also be like a suitable like magnum opus. Being able to have kids and like raise them. And I guess like when people are like talking about like things that they've done in their life, I think kids is like a very like, it's something that I'm very excited for, but it's also something that's like definitely like a permanent change in your lifestyle. And so I guess I feel some pressures to like finish the game or something like that before I have kids. That way I can just devote my entire attention towards kids, and, you know, be like, this is something that I made. It's all completed now. And I think that kind of conflicts with this idea that I have about like life being the journey, this game, this process being the journey, because I do want there to be an end point at some point so I can move on from this kind of stage of my life and into a new chapter of like just being very family focused and stuff like that. And I guess when I challenge myself a lot on like these sorts of things, because I think that like if I were to I'm kind of having like this like new train of thought here, so sorry for this terrible transition. But I guess like I'm trying to like uh figure out if this like is this all like kind of centered around this like sense of happiness or fulfillment, like being able to complete something, or is it more the journey that's more unlocking the sense of happiness and fulfillment? And I think part of me likes the idea of having this like consistent goal to work towards, to strive for. And it's like just the solution to the problem, the end goal, um, is not really the objective. It's more this journey. And so again, just conflicting with this, like I want this chapter to be kind of like over eventually, but I also want this chapter to continue. But I don't want this chapter to kind of conflict with being a dad one day, or something like that. So I guess like those are just some thoughts I've been kind of thinking about. And I think that like you know it's always going to be like cool to have this kind of goal on the side, if that is what happens to be. Like if I have a couple hours to myself one day, I can focus on the game. But these days like Sunday, where I spend literally 12 hours of the day just working towards the game, I don't think is going to be something that I'll have the luxury to do for the rest of my life. So it's like, do I need to speed up and get this done before then, or do I need to slow down a bit, take my foot off the gas, and kind of enjoy, I guess, life as it is right now in the moment? Because, like working on the game has been fun over the past month and a half, but I definitely feel like I've been sort of like hazy visioned, if you know what I mean, sometimes. So just kind of like enjoying the view from time to time. Um, I guess when I first sat down to like brainstorm these thoughts, I wasn't sure if this was going to be like what the video was going to be about. Like, is this a video about, me procrastinating from the game for the past couple days? Is this going to be a video about like how I'm going to be like focusing on like life balance, how I like to solve problems, or how I'm trying to solve this problem? And I think that my thoughts are just very messy right now, and kind of stated in the opening, like this is just like an internet diary series, so I guess there doesn't really have to be a certain format, or I'm kind of in this nice position where I don't really have to rely on making certain types of videos to appeal to an audience or anything like that. And I think this is kind of just like a, every now and then you have to make like a pit stop video, just to kind of reflect on what's going on, just stop and smell the roses kind of thing. And so to continue down this like road train thought process of like just being unorganized, I wanted to transition into this other concept that I feel like has been on my mind a lot lately, and how I may try to be like connecting this all together somehow in this like convoluted web of just kind of like I think I used to say like brain vomit or word vomit in like previous videos. Just like this is just kind of what the channel is, I guess. So like especially in the first 100 videos, it was all word vomit. But another concept I've had on my mind is just this distinction, I guess, between intelligence and wisdom. And I've probably talked about this before, but I think that I guess if I'm repeating myself multiple times on like some of the same concepts, then maybe it's something that like resonates with me, and maybe that's something that is interesting. That if you were to like, I guess, to understand me better, that might be like something to look for, like those like repeats. that I say. But anyways, like I'm not talking about intelligence like the nine different types of intelligence. Like you got your spatial and your nature and your interpersonal and your intrapersonal, musical, logic, bodily, linguistic. I don't know if there's any other ones. Spiritual, I think, or existential. I think that's nine. I don't want to focus on those like kind of nine forms of intelligence. I might have missed one, but I want to kind of more focus on like I guess the I don't know if you would call this like the D&D type of intelligence or just like the intelligence that like you kind of grow up kind of thinking in school where it's like your ability to memorize information, like details, like being able to regurgitate facts for a multiple choice quiz when you're like studying, trying to cram that info. Being able to remember rules to like certain games, like thinking of D&D, like being able to remember all those rules to the games, being able to like know trivia or just that kind of stuff. Um, I think I want to focus on that kind of intelligence, and this might be like kind of like a not really profound like thought, but I do think that like wisdom, well, I'll define wisdom too. So like that's intelligence, being able to memorize and regurgitate all that stuff. Wisdom is, I would say, is more like your ability to problem solve. And this is kind of when I was talking a little bit about problem solving earlier. I don't know if this is going to be a video about problem solving. I would say like wisdom is like a problem solving kind of skill, your ability not really to know the answer but to figure out the an answer, I guess. Because if there was only a single answer, I would say that's kind of just like intelligence. But if there's like multiple answers, multiple approaches, I think there's like a layer of creativity in wisdom, um, as opposed to intelligence. I don't really think that you can really be as creative when it comes to, and I'm again not talking about the like musical intelligence or anything like that, just talking about like strict memorization knowledge intelligence. Um, I don't think that it's like as creative of a skill. Um, and I don't know what my point really is with this, but like I think like intelligence is not something that I'm particularly good at. And I don't know if me saying like what I'm trying to say here is like an excuse for me to not be this like a I wouldn't consider myself to be someone who has like a good memory when it comes to details. I'm more of like a big picture memory kind of person, more so than like the details of certain things. And so I guess I often think of like I think of myself as like a logical person, but I was not really someone who really enjoyed math. And I think like the reason why I didn't really like math was kind of similar to like how I'm defining intelligence here, is because I think math has typically like one like notable answer when you're like solving like doing a math quiz. It's always like what's the answer? It's either like true or false. It's very binary. It's binary logic in a way, um which I'm not really like completely against. Like I enjoy some binary logic, but I think that like it's just a bit more memorization, bit more like uncreative. um and I think the logic that I kind of like refer to when I think of myself as like a logical person is like that kind of like logos logic. Like when you're thinking of like philosophy or debates. And I think it's more, I guess, creative because you're dealing with like words and definitions and I guess trying to be creative in like understanding like the psychology of people, and like there's all these other like parameters involved that are not quite black and white. They're you kind of have to use a lot of like reason and like trial and error and figuring things out like that. And I guess this might be related to, me having an interest in, making this game, or me having an interest in trying to, self-analyze myself through like, like these mental kind of understanding, emotional intelligence kind of things, because there isn't really like this like solid foolproof answer. It's just something that you can kind of continuously work on, kind of relating back to that goal of having this like side quest to work on, where you can just, I guess, preoccupy your mind and stuff like that with something that promotes growth. So yeah, sorry. So yeah, like with math, I feel like um, it's it's like one of those things where and I feel like I might be like beating a dead horse or something, but like it's like if there's only one answer to something, I feel like you can just always look that answer up, or there's always going to be someone who kind of knows that answer, and so it kind of gives me this like, what's the point in like memorizing it? Like if it's trivia, I can always just go look it up later. If it's like some sort of math thing, I can always like use a calculator or something like that. Like what's the point of memorizing these facts if it's like a game's rules? I can always look up the rule book. Why invest mental bandwidth into memorizing and reciting just things that I can look up uh, at a moment's notice when I need the answers? And there's the argument of like, oh, well, you're not going to always have a calculator, or you're not always going to have the internet. What are you going to do when you don't have those things? And I feel like if I didn't have those things, there's always going to be someone else who memorizes this stuff. So I don't know. I guess I just don't really see myself as that person who needs to be like the Swiss Army knife of information when I have, I guess, information at my fingertips most of the time. But I think like what kind of interests me as well about all this is that I've kind of determined that I'm more of this, the why of something interests me more than the what. So it's not like what is the answer, it's like why is that the answer? And so I think that that's more the thing that interests me. And it's not like really memorizing why that's the answer. It's just like having that experience, that epiphany moment of like, that's why that's the answer. And I think that's kind of the thing that's like addicting to me. So like when I'm doing like the coding in the game, there's always this problem and it's like, why, how can I do this? But it's not just like what's the answer? Why, how does that work? Or when I'm trying to self-analyze myself, it's not like what's going on with me. It's like, why am I thinking this way? And so I just think that that's kind of interesting. And this also reminds me of, I think in the Myers-Briggs video where I was taking the test and got INTJ or whatever, I think there was a question that was like, are you more of a what or a why person? And at the moment, I didn't really understand what that was even asking. But I think that like just having this kind of thought, it's like making me remember like, oh yeah, I think I'm more of a why person. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Um, I think like just, yeah, like I've been saying, just this constant challenge where I can constantly grow and constantly improve my worldview. I think that's really something that it's like kind of just like growing as a person. I think that's something that I'm like constantly trying to achieve. And but and I guess maybe that's because I just want to like prepare myself for like maybe being like a dad one day, or just all these like events that could be going on in my life. It feels like I need to constantly improve myself to like, I don't know, get to these different gates in life, and then once I achieve like a certain variable quantity of this experience, that will be like the the opening key factor to unlock the gate into the next stage of life. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if anything in this video is making sense. Like, I guess why am I talking about all of this? I think like maybe shifting gears again. I think that like with this game I'm working on, and like just my thoughts in general relating back to like self-improvement struggles from a couple weeks ago, probably it was when that video came out and that was recorded, and then like thinking about like this video I posted, I think yesterday, about like how to make friends, and watching these videos about mental health and improving emotional intelligence, all this stuff. I think that like with the game, there's like just a lot of logical wisdom, a lot of problem solving, and as I'm kind of defining it, it's all involved. Like, I guess what I'm trying to get at right here is like with this video game, it's like I'm not like coding in a software where you use a lot of syntax. Like when you think of coding, I think you have to like you know, you see like the black screen and like a Word document or something, and it's just like line by line. This isn't really that type of like when I make the game, I'm not really doing like that type of programming. I'm doing like a lot of it's almost like playing a video game to program, if that makes sense. Maybe I'll like make a video about it. But anyways, I guess my point here, what I'm trying to say is that like with this game, I think it's not as intelligence dependent. So like I don't know if I'm like a smart enough individual to actually do like coding with like all the different like syntax and stuff like that. This is definitely more of like a I know what kind of goal I want to achieve. It's more of like a designer, game development. It gives you a lot. It's like training wheels in a way that you probably can't do as much with it, but you can still accomplish the goal that you're trying to achieve. And I think like just focusing on, I guess, that um, the 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 wisdom, how I'm defining it, the wisdom logic, and instead of having the intelligence gatekeeping logic, is really something that I'm trying to explain that I think is something that I enjoy, I guess. Um, I don't know. I think like the self improvement videos, it's the same thing. It's just kind of like trying to identify these like constraints and problems within myself, and how can I like look back at a situation, an event in my life, and there was like a problem that occurred. What caused that problem? What did I do that caused that problem? How can I prevent that problem from occurring in the future? And a lot of these, I guess experiences aren't really things where you can depend on a textbook for answers. So like when I'm talking about that, like, memorizing things, like, the intelligence logic I'm defining, it's not like you can really go to Google and type in like, how do I resolve this relationship with my friend? It might give you some strategies to use, but it really comes down to that wisdom of being able to determine like the I guess the context of the situation. So like, why is my friend upset? What is my friend like? What do they care about? What do they value? What do they fear? These kinds of questions that are like very personal to the people who are involved in the situation where there's conflict. And I think that those types of situations are more interesting to me because it's like kind of having a unique experience that no one else is going to be able to um, um, it's like a unique experience that no one else is going to be able to take part in. And I think that's also why I enjoy like D&D, because each campaign is unique to the people who are involved in it. It's not like you know you're following like a coded procedure. There's a lot more like nuance in some of those kinds of games, but there's also a lot more problems that can occur, a lot more bugs. And so just being able to, I guess, resolve those kinds of situations in life, I think is very interesting. And I guess thinking about like, my job currently has nothing to do with a lot of these things. And I think like one thing that I think is interesting is, I mean, there's probably a lot of things that I think are interesting, and but anyway, I'll get back to it. Like my career, I guess I don't know if I'd want to be like this kind of person that for my career. I don't want this kind of like I guess when I think of this wisdom that I'm kind of talking about, it's very like guess like trial and error. And I think that with like a career, it's often hard to really I don't know, I feel like it would kind of like provoke a lot of anxiety in other ways of like trying to do a career that I don't really know the answers to all the time, and I'm just kind of guessing. I mean, I still do that for my job, but like I guess you know what I mean. It's like I like that kind of like structure when it comes um to work. I don't know if this is making a lot of sense. I guess pretty much I like this division between hobbies and career. And I don't want I guess what I'm alluding to is in the last video I talked a lot about like um, failure, and how we need to, I guess, kind of embrace failure in a way. And so what I'm kind of getting at is like in a career setting, I enjoy these kinds of things where you kind of have to embrace failure sometimes. But in a career setting, there's always this fear of like, what if I get fired if I fail too often? So I guess that's why I'm trying to think about like the exploration of self. There might be a lot of failed experiences that you can learn from. Um, but I don't know. I'm probably just going off off the train, off the rails. Um, I don't even know what I'm really saying anymore. I guess ultimately, I just wanted to, you know, I had a lot going on in my mind, obviously, over the past couple of days, and I guess I just wanted to release it, I guess, in a video. Um, this isn't really supposed to be anything like motivational or, um, but I think like there's like this like in one of my like first 10 videos, I think I made like an onion, like the layers of the onion video. And I think that this is kind of like exploring some of my like core onion layers that, you know, I don't really know the best way to put them into words, but it's almost like kind of like a parable of life in a way. One of those quotes that you'd probably like put up on your wall or something. Like I don't know what that quote would be, but just something related to this like failure and wisdom and intelligence and I don't know, just self growth kind of thing. Um, I guess like if I were to try to define it, it's like with failure comes struggle and with struggle comes growth or something like that. And I guess I think that like, we're always trying to win, we're always trying to succeed, but I think that like growth is just more important than victory, and it's more satisfying. And I think like, trying to continuously improve is just more important than finishing, if that makes sense. So I guess like, yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I just want to like, be goal oriented. I want to take care of myself and I want to focus on, constant growth and improving. I don't know. Hopefully there's like nuggets of wisdom somewhere in here. I think I said that earlier. But I don't know. I could like, re-record this and restructure this into a better, well-crafted argument, but I think like at the end of the day, as I kind of said in the beginning, this is more of like a internet diary series, and so not all of the videos have to be like super well constructed. They don't have to be like make a whole lot of sense. Sometimes I think it's just the therapy of getting on camera and like writing things down and just like vocalizing things that like helps mentally process information. And I could do this on my own in private, I guess. But I guess like there is always the potential of this reaching out and like impacting someone. And I don't know. Hopefully that has a positive effect. If not like a neutral or positive effect. I guess like I guess it can't really hurt. So why not just post it and see if it like helps out? So yeah, I guess like, have a good day and stuff. Uh, um, if you're still watching, I don't know why you're still watching, but have a good day. I'll catch you later. Bye.